One simple shadow trick, part 2. Urban sketching the yellow cab. So instead of using my favorite Palomino Blackwing pencil, I use this fountain pen which is empty, and I load it with a sort of a yellow color, and I draw with it just for fun. You can see that there's always all sorts of variety of approach, and it's always good to try new things just to get some new neurons firing in your head. I'm just drawing very broad shape of what I see from the photograph of the yellow cab company. This is a very interesting backstory to the yellow cab. You can look it up on Wiki. Was used by a lot of mobsters, and of course it started in Chicago, right? Anyway, back to the sketch. When you use yellow, typically yellow is more staining, so I'm not worried that when I paint over it that the color will disappear. You should be able to see even a faint line of the yellow after you paint over it, and I fully intend to paint over the lines, and yet I should be able to somehow still sort of catch a glimpse of the line because of the staining nature of yellow. In this case, it's lemon yellow plus a bit of New Gamboge plus a bit of Queen Burnt Orange. They're all Daniel Smith anyway. I'm certainly having a lot of fun with drawing with this fountain pen, loading it up and just going at it with gusto. I feel that when you have confidence in your lines, your audience will see it, and it usually shows when you're confident with those lines. So now that I'm done, I'm ready to paint the background. I mixed a mixture of French ultramarine with permanent alizarin crimson, and I am going in not very dark, but somewhat in the mid-tone if you like, but the combination is of a darker purple anyway. One of the things you notice is that I'm painting right over the lines I've just drawn. Don't be afraid of doing that, because part of the seeing light and seeing shadow is to look at where the shadow has fallen on the cab and paint the shadow as you see it. We were damaged by whoever it was when we were age 2, telling us that we were wrong to paint over the line. We were all born artists, and then we were kind of damaged. So, we have to relearn and unlearn the bad habits of not painting over the line. So paint over the lines with gusto, alright? And as you paint over the line, you will see that the eyes are drawn to the shadows and leaving the highlight, or rather the paper white, where the sunlight is hitting. You will see again later that when I paint the body of the cap, it will be light and shade. The eyes can see it clearly, and that's the trick. The trick is to paint the shadows in one big shape, just like this. I continue to paint the rest with a mixture that is the same, but with different variant of blue and red. In some way I'm playing with the warm and cool, because some patch will be a bit warmer, some patch will be a bit cooler with blue. Warmer side, of course, it's also the red part of it. I leave a part of the curtain blank because I fully intend to make that the sun hit area, just like the floor, the ground on the bottom right. So now I'm ready to paint the cap. Of course, it's yellow. It's a mixture of lemon yellow, New Gamboge, and I'm painting over the shade as well, as you can see, leaving a whole bunch of white highlights. The white highlights, as I see it, are reflected off the metallic body of the cap, and the yellow, when I'm painting over the dried purple shadow, it gives me a variant of the yellow that depicts the yellow in the shadow. I just made a video about making color sing for urban sketches. If you have not seen it, please go watch that. It will tell you why you need to be able to mix the two sort of yellow, the yellow in the shade and the yellow that is in the sunlight. Now I'm mixing a little bit of a permanent alizarin crimson with a dash of Queen Rose red, and I'm putting it right over the curtain or the shades, and you will see that the eyes can still see where the sunlight hit on the shades basically. And I'm now making a darker mixture of the same dark which I have done earlier, but this time with a dash of Queen Burnt Orange into it. I'm putting that second layer of the background behind the cap just to make the yellow cap popped, if you like. Same mixture again on the left hand side of the background. I'm going in just to give a second layer of background, darker. Careful on where the shadows intersecting with the cap. Now you can see clearly that there is a shadowy side of the cap and there is a background that is way darker. I use the same mixture to give the bottom shadows of the cap, leaving a secondary highlight, if you like, not paper white, but the highlight left from the second layer of the background. As you can see, I'm going in with playing with cool and warm again, leaving some patches more reddish and some patches more bluish. At this point, your eyes should be able to differentiate where it is light and where it is shaded. Okay, so now you're ready to use a fine line to draw in all the tiny sort of details, the windows, the darker windows, the front window or the screen, and I'm using a small brush to go in and draw some of the minor lines, shadows if you like, and just to give the accessories of the body going into details, if you like, of the sketch. Most of the time beginners will do this. They will paint little details and then do the broad picture of the shadow. It's kind of like building the cake or baking a cake by squeezing out the cream and then bake the cake and then try to fit the cake into the cream. It doesn't work that way. You need to bake the cake and then put the cream. Sometimes we call that structure. Lay the foundation, lay the structure, and then put in the accessory. So, which is what I've done. The structure is the shadow, the structure is the light, and now it's a tiny bit of the, if you like, the icing on the cake. The little lines, the lines that shows all the little tiny details and stuff like that. You can go crazy with all the accessories if you like and all the details and lines. But after you have laid the foundation and get the structure right, the accessories are just embellishment. They are fun to do, but don't do it before you have done the structure. Another way of looking at it is that if you have gotten the structure right, actually it's very hard to get the accessory wrong. You can play with it, in fact make some, intentional mistake if you like, and it will still look lovely because it is a sketch after all. So almost done with scribblings and all the calligraphy I want to do on it, and I'm just drawing as, having fun if you like. So now I'm going in with my trusty stiff bristle brushed, short bristle brushed, and you can make one of these by buying one of the oil brush and cut it to be shorter, and then you wet it somewhat, use a tissue on one hand and basically softening all the hard edges that you don't really want, and blending if you like, just softening it. Don't worry if you scrub too much, because you can always go back and paint another layer of the color if you like, but basically anywhere that is too attracting your eye intention unnecessarily, especially where it is too sharp of an edge, too hard of an edge, you can soften it with this bristle brush. So you can see that the cap is coming along nicely, and I think there may be still a bit more to do, a bit more lines I may have to put in. I am going in with my fountain pen with a much darker color, and I'm just drawing lines that my brush cannot do, but the fountain pen can easily draw very sharp and thin line, because I'm using a Sailor bended nipped fountain pen, and they are very, very sharp when I'm drawing it vertically like so. So I even make the logos of the yellow cap company, putting my name as well. May have put a bit too big there, but doesn't matter. So I keep going, and now I'm using a brush to go in with a bit more, maybe a bit more of a layering of the darks if you like. The darks are just coming along nicely now, and I'm using a much thicker version of the same mixture, a thicker version of French Ultramarine plus Permanent Alizarin Crimson, and a dash of Queen burnt orange as well. And at this point, I think those darks are done. I'm going in with my trusty Copic opaque white. You can use gouache white, you can use titanium white, straight off the tube if you like. And I'm just giving it a bit of a touch up here and there where I have lost some of the highlight. I'm trying to regain it, but I'm very, very careful because white can be ghastly and overwhelming. You just want to be very, very careful and just make sure it is just that touch of a highlight to show that some of them are metallic and reflective, and that's about all you want to do. I think we're about done, so it's very, very important that we are always evaluating what we are doing. Don't overdo the painting. One of the hardest thing to do really is to know when to start, but of course the second hardest thing is to know when to stop. I evaluated looking at the photo. I realized that I haven't put in the word taxi into it, so that goes in. And I think I might just put a bit of a hint of a darker sort of, and that mixture is the same mixture I've used earlier, but with a bit of green thrown into it, because, phthalo green, blue shade, is staining, and staining colors usually give you a much darker dark than, other colors can. So that is the whole purpose of using that color, and I'm very, very sparing with this color. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay safe wherever you are. Please take care of yourself, wear masks still, even though it may not be legally necessary to protect yourself. wheeteck out.